So they've already ruined Sanity. Oh, God. You know, not even a week has passed since Sanity officially debuted in the WWE. They're already a joke. Welcome to your Smackdown review, guys. And, well, we start off the show with Miz TV. You know, it's the Bludgeon Brothers and, you know, Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan confronts them, and, you know, you see what's going on here. You've got the Miz in the ring, Daniel Bryan on the ramp. The Bludgeon Brothers are there. Why don't they just do Bryan and Miz already? The feud that everybody wants to see, but instead, you know, we're going to go with, well, we'll get to that at the end of the show. So, you know, we have this little Miz TV segment. It's not horrible. You know, the Bludgeon Brothers just trying to intimidate Miz. Bryan gets on the ramp. You know, he talks about Hart and everything. That's something that these announcers don't talk about nowadays. That JR always used to talk about with X-Pac. X-Pac would be in there with The Undertaker, be in there with Kane, and to explain that, JR would say that X-Pac had tremendous heart. You could go watch this on the network. It would explain why he was able to hold his own against all these other bigger wrestlers, because you know, he'd make the excuse that he had heart. So you don't do that nowadays. You know, Finn Balor could stand up to Braun Strowman, for example. Rusev defeated Xavier Woods. Woods got too much offense in for a guy who is, you know, against a guy who's going to go on to face AJ Styles with Rusev. That's why I'm not buying this. I'm not expecting a title change at all here. You know, Rusev, just like out of nowhere, just, you know, becoming the #1 contender. It was a bit too sudden. You know, and I love, like, the reaction of the YWC. It's okay for Rusev to just get a title opportunity out of nowhere, but with Jinder Mahal, no, that's not allowed. You know, come on. The YWC is all about picking their favorites, and I don't even know what the reason is. I'm a bit surprised that so many smarks like Rusev. I've never been that crazy about him, but I'll admit I'm warming up to the guy. The guy does look like a star. It's just something when I see Rusev, I don't really get excited to watch his performance for whatever reason. But, you know, it's going to be interesting. You know, AJ Styles is not there tonight. You know, how convenient. You know, instead of building, you know, Rusev is there talking about AJ, but AJ doesn't even show up. He grabs the mic, and that was a nice little short promo at the end that they did with him. But, you know, AJ knocks Aiden English's lights out. There's no response to any of that. AJ is not there. And why is he not there? What prior commitments does AJ Styles have to be on the main show? You would never see this back in the day. You wouldn't even see this a few years ago. They'd always make sure their main stars were on the show. Now it's like they're there, they're not there, they're there one week, you know, taking a break. You know, he was probably in a match probably that was aired off TV. He was probably in a dark match probably after the show. That's usually what they do. Backstage, Lana and Iommi are still arguing over who's the best dancer. Could we settle this argument already so we don't have to see it? I mean, how many weeks, you know, we have a dance-off, then we're going to argue about who's the better dancer. They're still not sure if Lana has an accent. And they run into the cast of Glow. And what are they even doing there backstage? Oh, we just happened to be there. One of their girls plays a Russian on the show. I don't watch Glow. I don't really care about this segment. You know, it seemed way too by the numbers when they do one of these celebrity appearances. You know, they talk. You know, the girls from Glow say, well, you know, maybe you guys could just, you know, both be good dancers and work together. And they seem like they like that idea. You know, I don't think they ever should have taken the title off of Naomi. I think she's a good baby face. I think she's likable. you know, they had her win this nonsensical battle royal at WrestleMania, and ever since then, she hasn't amounted to anything. You know, she's got Baron Corbin, Mojo Rawley syndrome. She's got syndrome of basically everybody who's ever won a battle royal. And even though this is the women's battle royal, it's the same effect. They win it, they don't even amount to anything when they end up being the victor. So, you know, I'd already predicted this, and it already came to fruition. So, you know, they should have never taken a title off of her like a year ago, whatever it was, a year and a half ago. You know, the entrance and everything, she was over, and they really knocked her down so many pegs. I don't even get why they would even do such a thing to her. You know, when the person's obviously over, that's when they decide to take the title off of somebody. When anybody ever starts to gain any momentum, once again, you know, even when you take the title off of somebody, if they have momentum and if they are over, they should never, you know, be taken off TV or, you know, booked to be buried like Naomi was. They butchered this girl. She has so much talent, and they just, you know, they knocked her down the card. They made sure she didn't appear every week, and when she did, she would just get beat or just be like a tag partner. So they can't figure out how to get anybody, you know, how to get them over. And once they're over, they can't keep them over. And that was the thing with Alexa Bliss, why they had to rush to get the title back on her. They couldn't figure out how to keep her relevant without having to have a cash in the Money in the Bank right away and get the title off of Nia Jax. And it's the same story here. And you want to talk, we're going to talk about Becky Lynch in a minute. And how it's the same deal with her. But first we've got, before that segment even began, you had Jeff Hardy making his entrance. So this whole thing is going on backstage, and Jeff Hardy is just in the ring waiting. You know, and this is not the first time I've seen this. It's been a while since I've seen it, but I never understand this. They have him come out to the ring, and he's just waiting there while all this is going on. You know, you want to talk about, Wade Keller wants to talk about rudeness and, you know, calling people not by their full names. How about making a guy wait like 10 minutes in the ring while they have this little segment backstage arguing over who is the better dancer? So they're going to put the U.S. Open Challenge on hold just so they could have this little discussion with the Glow Girls. So Jeff Hardy's Open Challenge, it was supposed to be Naka Murphy. Apparently he's injured. Eric Young answers the challenge, and you know, he comes out with Sanity with him, with Killian Dane and Wolf. The Usos rush out of the crowd, you know, interfere in the match, and they throw the match out. Then we go on to a 6-man tag between these guys. They make a 6-man tag out of it, and wouldn't you know it, Sanity loses the 6-man tag after they come back from the commercial break. You know, it's one of those classic deals. And again, how many times have they done this? Come back from commercial break and the match is automatically made during the break. It's a 6-man tag, just like magic like that. So, you know, it didn't take long for them to butcher Sanity. And I knew, how did I know that they were going to lose this match? First of all, you know, the faces were getting in way too much offense. I know Jeff Hardy is the U.S. champ, and they want to keep the belt on him. You know, they could have had that DQ finish and, you know, still beat up on all the faces and still look strong. But, you know, Wolf is in the ring, takes the Swanton, and that's it. Sanity loses their debut match, you know, as a team. Eric Young doesn't win the singles match. They don't win the tag match. Sanity loses. What a strong debut. How ideal, right? You just came out there and you're already losing. You know, I don't know what to say to this. I didn't I say it last week? I begged him. I said, please do not ruin Sanity. For the life of me, I don't understand how I could be right this many times. I mean, but, you know, I'd have to be, because I've been watching it for so long that you know when you're going to see disappointment. You need to know in the back of your mind, more in the front of your mind, that every single time they bring out a new wrestler that has any potential whatsoever and could easily be put over. Sanity, it writes itself. They're nut jobs. Eric Young looks like a star. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to cut a good promo. He's had training in this. He was in TNA for so long, and he was honing his craft, and he was only getting better and better. And, you know, it didn't even take them a week to butcher this team. A team with so much potential. That creative really didn't have to do a lot to really get them over, you know. But like I said, this is what you get. This is what you get. Like I said, you know, who's booking this shit? How could you possibly have these guys jobbing out their first night out there? Becky Lynch defeated Sonya, and you know, and how does Sonya Deville lose here? Tapping out. Becky Lynch is another wrestler. The first, you know, they always have to make sure that Becky gets that line in about being the first ever SmackDown Women's Champion. But I don't think she said it tonight, but, you know, I think the announcers might have got it in at some point during the match, because she's fallen so far down on the card. You know, they always have her talking to Charlotte, who, by the way, was also not on the show. So I don't know if Naka Murphy's really injured. No AJ, no Charlotte. So Charlotte's supposed to be there. She's not there. And you know, you've got two of your defining top stars for the male and the women's division, and there's none of them on the show. None of them. Nobody showed up on this episode of SmackDown. Everybody stayed home, apparently. Everybody had a prior commitment of some sort, I suppose. And, you know, I don't get it with Sonya Deville. If Mandy Rose is so great and they're having Corey Graves put her over every chance he gets, why is her partner not given the same treatment? And she's an MMA star. If anybody could figure out how to break out of the disarmor and counter that shit, that would be Sonya Deville. But of course, she's jobbing out, she's tapping out. It's like, I understand that, you know, they're not ready to move her up, but Sonya Deville already tapping out. You know, and this is not the first time it's happened. She's already, I think, lost to Becky Lynch a few times. Whatever the case may be, why is she not one of the most dominant stars? She could be the Ronda Rousey of SmackDown. And I get that, you know, she hasn't been like in the UFC. She was in more of the minor leagues for MMA, but it doesn't matter. They could show footage of her in MMA. They could show, like, you know, she did some stuff, you know, and if it's all about shoots nowadays and having a shoot fight and all about stiffing people in strong style, then Sonya Deville, the WWE should be her oyster. But for some reason, they don't feel like pushing her. They make sure she's on TV every week. At least there's that. But it's like Sandy. You know, okay, so they did them 2 weeks in a row, and they haven't really gone any place. You know, so Sonya Deville tapping out. You know, she's the MMA fighter. She's supposed to know the counter for all these submissions, but here she is tapping out. Then we had Ellsworth in the ring. No Carmella, again, you know, the women's champ, not on the show. So he's out there by himself, and I gotta say, guys, you know, I don't really care, but I find this guy entertaining. And I gotta say, I like his tattoos. I am a big fan of the Offspring as well, but he's got the skull logo with the flaming hair, and he also has the Rise and Fall of Grace tattoo, the album artwork. And Ellsworth is just entertaining on the mic. You know, and he was calling out Asuka and doing it in hilarious fashion. And every single time he does that wink, I don't get tired of it. I don't know, but I'm becoming a big fan of this guy. He's a goofball, but that's part of his character. And I enjoy watching it. Like I said, I'd rather watch this than all these mind-numbing matches with all these stupid results where people are not getting over, no one's going anywhere or doing anything. You know, at least Ellsworth delivers on the entertainment, which is the whole reason why we watch the show, apparently. So this brings out Paige, and he says that the only reason why he's out there is because Asuka is not on the show because she's in Japan. Oh, okay, so everybody's not on this show, apparently. And not even Carmella, no Charlotte, no AJ, nobody's on this show, apparently. You know, even Asuka couldn't be bothered to show up for you know, it's funny, they're going to be moving to Fox. They want to impress the execs at Fox, probably, even though they got the deal. You know, you still want to stay strong. And they're making sure that they're not even making sure that they have all their top stars out there to impress. You hear the expression "dress to impress." Well, you know, they'd probably want to do that. Dress up the show with all the big stars and make sure that they're out there to impress all the execs of Fox. They're not even concerned about that. They're just like, you know what? Just send out whoever tonight. So Paige comes out there, you know, and Ellsworth says, "Are you going to be asking me out on the date?" And she says, "Yeah." This part was pretty funny, though. I like that. He says, you know, you're going to end up facing Asuka next week. So, you know, that'll be a nice little entertaining match, I suppose. You know, a little sports entertainment style, which I'm all for. Like I said, even when we saw, like, the dance-off and everything, I says, you know, this segment's not great, but at least it brings me back to a bit more of that sports entertainment vibe that I enjoy so much. You know, just something a little out of the ordinary to break up the monotony. You know, I'd rather watch one of those than one of these, you know, mind-numbing matches with no story behind it. You had Andrade, Almas, again doing nothing backstage with a little promo with Zelina Vega. What, you know, this guy is just backstage. It's like they're not even jobbing him out in the ring or anything like that, but they're like jobbing him out backstage, basically. They're doing this excuse. Meanwhile, all these matches are going on, and they're trying to sell this idea. Zelina Vegas is, anyway, she's saying, oh, well, you know, there's no competition. We beat up Sin Cara. There's no competition. So, there's no competition. I'm like looking at all these matches here that we're having. No, it's just that they're not booking him in anything. And I like the look of Andrade. And, you know, he's got too much of that Alberto Del Rio vibe going on, of course, where he's supposed to be that wealthy, you know, well-dressed, you know, Latin character. And, you know, they're playing off of that, but he's just backstage every single week. And he wasn't even there last week. It was like a WWE.com exclusive that you had to watch, you know, on their website, or you could watch it on YouTube. So he's been demoted to backstage. I don't know when they're going to even allow him in the ring again for another jobber match. So how long are they going to keep this guy? I suppose eventually they're going to give him a big match, but what's the point of it? It makes him look like a damn fool backstage, where he's saying, oh, he can't get a match, people are scared of him. First of all, the guy is not that intimidating. Like I say, he looks like a star, but he's not. That's not his character to people to be scared to wrestle him. It's not like he's like 7 feet tall or anything. If that was Big Cass, I could understand, but this is not him. Then in the main event, it was Daniel Bryan defeating Luke Harper. They beat on him after the match, and this was a pretty good beatdown. And then Kane comes out to make the save, and you know, awkward YouTuber asked me to do a separate, I guess you wanted a separate video on this, but I'm just going to basically say it here at the tail end. Just as good. You know, you wanted thoughts on it. So one of my thoughts, where Paige comes out, makes the match, Team Hell No versus Luke Harper and Eric Rowan. Now, this is probably going to be a decent match at best, but I need to say something here. Who asked for this? First of all, this was a very forgettable tag team. Are they going to bring in Dr. Shelby, for God's sakes? I know that, just like Paige says, I didn't want to miss an opportunity. They're not going to want to miss out on another stupid anger management segment. I already know where they're going to go with that. They're not going to want to miss out on getting Dr. Shelby in there, which was one of the main notables from the Team Hell No tag team. But this was kind of like at a time when everybody wanted Daniel Bryan to be pushed by himself, but they still refused, and they put him in this tag team with Kane against everybody's wishes. The fans weren't happy with. So now everyone's happy, apparently. Now we're all going to pretend, the YWC is going to pretend that everybody loved Team Hell No. And that this is a team that they wanted to see return. This was like the last thing on my mind. So they're going to have this match, and they're probably going to win the tag titles, I would think, since they're getting back together. Unless like Miz finds a way to screw them, and that leads to the Bryan-Miz match, which I hope does happen. That would be the more logical solution. But this is such a deviation. Daniel Bryan just returned at WrestleMania just mere months ago. And this guy, for all intents and purposes, they should have like given him the world title. Like, I don't understand what it's still doing on AJ. This guy's the most over guy on the roster. The big massive return. And, what's the best they could think to do with him? Big Cass, right after the Mania match, right into the Big Cass feud. They switched them and made sure that Bryan and Miz were on the same show, and they're dragging their feet. They had them out there earlier. The feud that everybody wants to see, and they're pushing it off. The feud that they should push to the front of the line, they're pushing it back as much as possible. When they could act, and all these feuds that go on for months and months, this should actually be a feud that goes on for a few months. And they're making sure that they keep on pushing it back. So, now we're going to have to watch this feud that no one requested, and you've got people, and they're not being sarcastic, like, oh, I've been waiting years for this. No, you haven't. Who was asking for Team Hell No to return? Honestly, who was asking for this team to get back together? Because I know I didn't. I know I didn't request it. I know that this was probably the last team that I wanted to see get back together. So, no. I don't get it. I don't know why they're there, why they decided to just do this kind of like at the last minute. I mean, I don't know how long they were planning. I didn't hear any rumors or anything like that. So, here you go. Here's your match. And I swear to God, the Bludgeon Brothers, I could tell they have no idea what to do with these guys. Since winning the tag titles, they don't know how to keep that dominant streak going. And it's funny, one of the Usos managed to win a match with a roll-up, I think on Eric Rowan or Luke Harper a few weeks back, but Daniel Bryan, the main eventer, Daniel Bryan, can't even beat one of them. So, like I'm saying, this is how it looks. When they do it, they don't even have any type of consistency whatsoever. Well, this is where they end up biting themselves in the ass. Because, see, I remember that because it only happened a few weeks ago. And here Bryan is having a challenge with him. So we're going to have a match that, we just basically don't want to see. And the Miz Bryan match, that's the match that everybody wanted to see. And then we have to keep on waiting for it. When they have so much material, so many great promos that they could cut. And you notice that, Bryan was like avoiding talking directly to Miz in that promo. So I don't get it. It's very weird doing that, but whatever, guys. There you go. There's your SmackDown review. I can't believe they butchered Sanity already. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe next week they'll do something with them. I highly doubt it. Anyway, guys, this has been your YWC champ, and I'm signing out.